I'm Stacy Grinsfelder.
And I'm Daniel Ganter.
And you're listening to True Tales from Old Houses, the minisode.
The minisode.
Hello, Daniel.
Hello, back from Japan, Stacy. How are you?
I am jet lagged. That's what I am.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I thought I was going to get over it pretty quick because when I got to Japan, it was great. I had almost no jet lag. But coming back this direction, I've been up since 3 a.m. this morning.
Ooh. Well,
yes.
You look fresh-faced and ready to go. Now, it seemed like you were in Japan forever.
It did. And I do want to tell you all about it. But before I do, I want to say a quick shout out to our wonderful sponsors, Sutherland Wells and Noonan Heritage Craftworks.
Thank you, our friends. We love you.
Yeah. So you said you felt like I'd been there forever?
Well, so every night Brad and I talk on the phone, and every night he's like, did you talk to Stacy? And I'm like, no, I think she's still in Japan. And he's like, is she ever coming home from Japan? So anyway, you were missed greatly.
Wow. That's very nice. That's really, really nice. Yeah, I hate to complain about jet lag. Like, boohoo, feel so sorry for me on my vacation to Japan, right?
Yeah, I'm not feeling that bad. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I want to have empathy, but...
But you don't, yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah, I guess I'm less complaining and more just still so shocked at how affected bodies are by travel. I guess that's it. I'm marveling in my body's inability to adjust back to the U.S. How's that? Rather than feeling unappreciative about my trip to Japan.
Okay, yeah. Biology is a wonder. I
yes.
Really agree with you. So wait, how long were you there in actual timeline of days?
I was gone for 10 days.
Okay, that's long.
Which really isn't that long, but it tells you how often you and Brad and I talk to each other when it felt like I was gone for a long time.
Eternity. But 10 days is long, because last time you did a week, right?
No, I think I did 10 days last time too. But I think the difference is that week before I left, you and I were in a crush to record a bunch of stuff so that it was all ready to queue up while I was gone. And then we had this long lull where we didn't speak to each other because I was gone.
Right.
So that's probably what also made it feel longer.
Yes. In the timeline of our actual recordings, like, we haven't spoken for like weeks. In the words of Repaint Studio, like weeks
and weeks, yeah. I just realized I also need to say something before I tell you more about Japan. And that is that both of the window workshops did end up selling out.
Woo-woo.
Yeah, woohoo, good news. There is still the wait list, though. So if you go to blakehillhouse.com, you can still click on that link for Silver Lake or the wood window workshop at Silver Lake. And then there's a wait list link there. So I feel like I need to mention that, even though we don't usually do things to know section on the minisode.
No, this is essential. And in the past, the wait list has actually gotten a couple people in that were on the wait list, right?
Yeah, I think if someone has interest, I think it's worth putting your name on the wait list. We're going to close the wait list on June 20th because we want everything all wrapped up by the end of the month, because then it will be July and it'll be time for workshop.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So Japan. I do want to tell you about Japan. Yes. I got to see my son.
Capybaras everywhere. No.
Capybaras. Well, funny that you mentioned capybara, because the very last day that I was there, I discovered that there was a little animal cafe right around the corner, like right down the stairs and around the corner from my hotel. But I had to leave that day at 11 and they didn't open until 10:30. And I was so disappointed because they had a capybara. But now that I know that,
right,
if I get a chance to go back, then I'll stay probably in that same area because I really liked it. And then I'll try to go.
Okay, amazing. And you'll be back because
I will.
There's a few more years of school and stuff. And
yeah, that's what I started to say. I got to see my son, which was really great. I mean, we try to talk to each other through Discord. It's not a regular communication like it is with my other kids, just because of the time difference and the fact that I can't just pick up my phone and text him at any time that I want, and vice versa. So it's always good to see him. He was doing well. We had a really fun adventure one day where there's a whole used bookstore district in Tokyo, like a district.
A district?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's this several streets worth of used bookstores. Most of those books are in Japanese, so they aren't really relevant to me, but I love a good used bookstore. And just seeing the old buildings, and they had a bunch of original artwork hanging everywhere. It was just like a used bookstore in the US, except I couldn't read any of the books.
Uh-huh. How cool.
It was really special. That was a place that I had never been before. And we also went to Kyoto and Why can I not say it? We also went to Osaka and Kyoto. I guess I need to say them in that order. Otherwise, I can't get the syllables out the other direction.
Kyoto and Osaka. Yeah, it's a tongue
It's
twister.
harder, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We rode the bullet train to Osaka and Kyoto and had a really good time. Different feel. Every single city, just like in the United States, every single Japanese city has a very different feel. And I can't really express that in words so much, except for Yokohama feels more American almost, more Canadian. It feels like a real sort of melting pot of people living there and working there and visiting there.
Interesting.
And Osaka and Kyoto both feel much older. Tokyo feels kind of vibrant and moving and changing and all the time, but Osaka and Kyoto definitely feel older. There's modern things, don't get me wrong. It's modern Japan, but it just feels older, if that makes any sense, which it probably does not.
I think it does. I have so many feelings about Japan with no actual information, but it seems to me that Tokyo is sort of like always under development and constantly like becoming more the future. Does it feel that way, IRL?
Well, I can agree with you to a certain extent. Yeah, I definitely think that most of the news we get in the US is about Tokyo. We are hearing about the technology changes. We hear about building changes, weather, all that stuff, how it affects Tokyo. And because that's the most common city we hear about, I think that perception is pretty apt. That description is pretty apt for sure. I mean, I really don't hear a lot of news about Osaka and Kyoto or Hiroshima or Yokohama or anything like that.
And my own ignorance, is it pretty easy to kind of get around Japan because of the bullet trains, like to different cities and stuff?
It is so easy. It is so easy. So if I want to go to any city that's within, I don't know, even a couple hours probably, or maybe an hour and a half of Tokyo, I'm just going to use that as my city center. I can get on any kind of train, local train. You know, they have rapid, they have express trains, that kind of thing. That would just be within the local system. I'd probably have to change train lines several times, but they also make that very easy with signage and just the way their tickets work and everything. It's very, very simple. Now, if I want to go to someplace like Osaka from Tokyo, then that is a bullet train ride. That's about, I think, 6 hours away if you were to drive it, for instance. So the bullet train itself is anywhere from 2 to 3.5 hours, depending on which train you take and how many stops that train makes.
Cool.
Now, I will say the bullet train is expensive. It's kind of like a plane ticket, price-wise, whereas the local train system for, I don't know, anywhere from 180 yen to, at the most I paid, I think was 520 yen. I can get where I want to get on that local system. But in US dollars...
Okay. I don't know about yen. I'm sorry.
You don't know about yen. I know. Let me throw it in the converter real quick, because just know that the yen, it's in our favor. It works very well in our favor. So if I'm paying, so 180 yen is about $1.25, $1.25.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Very
not bad at all.
A subway ride.
Right.
I think less than a subway ride.
And then 520, I think, is $3.61. So although it felt like we were constantly putting money into the Japanese train system, we really weren't spending that much per ride.
Yeah.
But when you go on a bullet train, it's expensive. And I paid for those tickets in advance. So I'm going to give those to you in US dollars. And that was about $160 one way.
Oh.
So that was pretty significant. Yeah.
And is the bullet train kind of like a luxury experience, or is it just the speed? Oh, okay.
Yes. It's much, much better. I mean, it's luxury compared to the city trains where you might be holding the strap up above you and kind of, spooning your neighbor during rush hour. But there are seats on those trains too. So those trains, you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes you might get a seat, sometimes you're standing. On a bullet train, you can reserve your seat in advance, and it's a face forward seat. And it's wide. It reclines pretty far. It has a tray, almost like an airline seat, except it's bigger. It's much bigger than an airline seat. And you have overhead storage, for your luggage, that kind of thing.
So it's sort of like taking the New York City subway versus like Amtrak.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it, for sure. Some of the Shinkansens, they're called Shinkansens, the bullet trains, and some of them have like food carts, and some of them have a little bit more luxury. We just took a plain old Shinkansen. Also, if you don't reserve your seat, you have to go to these certain cars that also have seats, but you have to stand until somebody leaves their seat, and then you snag it real quick. And that's great if there are seats, but it's not great if you have a 3.5-hour ride and you are waiting for someone to give up their seat. So that's something to keep in mind. I accidentally booked the Disney Shinkansen, which I thought was hilarious. Some of them are themed.
There's like Big Pluto walking down the aisle. That's really funny.
Not quite. It had the headrests had Rapunzel and the Frozen girls, Elsa and Anna, I guess.
Well done.
And then each time we stopped at a new stop, then they played this song from Frozen. It was pretty hilarious. I was like, well, there you go.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Yeah, the exterior of the train was wrapped in a bunch of like Frozen and Rapunzel Disney stuff.
You know what I'm like newly obsessed with, speaking of Japanese travel?
What?
Brad sent me a TikTok of like Japanese cruises.
Oh.
Never once considered a Japanese cruise. Oh my goodness. They look so beautiful and peaceful and lovely.
Well, I can say I've never considered an American cruise, but I would absolutely consider Japanese cruise. So I'm going to have to look into that.
I saw unlimited omakase and was just like, cool, sign me up right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we just add it to the list of little travel excursions we plan to do.
I realized that my trip to Japan is not really old house relevant. So I don't know. I hope people can entertained or interested enough to hear me talk about this. But travel to me is just, it's so fun. I mean, I really like to see how other people live. And the nice thing about my son being there is that, you know, you really get to experience it. I'm not there. Yes, I did touristy things and loved every bit of it. But we also just did things like walk around Tokyo at the used book district. And that's not something that everybody would do. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. I love hearing about it. My parents went to Japan for 2 or 3 weeks. It might have been 3 weeks.
Wow, that's a long time.
I know. And they went with like a couple other couples and like it sounded really fun. And when they got back, I was like, you know what? How was your trip? And they're like, oh, it's great. And any standout experiences? And they were like, I mean, it's really busy. I'm like, with what specifically? And they're like, I mean, it was just go, go, go. Like, you guys, not helpful. So I appreciate, maybe they did some of those things. Who knows? I'll never know.
Well, I traveled this time with my aunt and uncle, and I think I mentioned that before. Yeah. And we just had a really good time. My aunt is the only one left on that side of the family. My dad is gone. My uncle just died last fall. And so we had a really nice time, you know, talking about family stuff. And I think they were a little tired of all the train travel, and they were surprised. You know, your parents said it was go, go, go. And I asked them, I said, what did you think? And they said, well, we were surprised that there were so many people all the time. And I think that's true. I guess I didn't really notice it as much, but I think because they needed to just sit more often, you know, riding the train and not being able to sit sometimes was harder for them. Whereas I was kind of like, whatever, can't sit.
Right. They're a little older, right?
Yeah. Mid 70s and low 70s, I think.
Okay, I feel like I've just like heard this about Japan, that it's like, they're like very serious about like give up your seat for an elderly person. Like, was it just not happening? Do you have to be Japanese to make it happen?
Well, 2 things. First of all, my aunt and uncle do not look elderly, I gotta say.
Okay.
Yeah, they look much younger than their years. There are seats on the train that are reserved for people who are that's priority seating. So if they see a pregnant woman or an elderly person, or, you know, just generally a person who needs those seats more, they are supposed to give them up. But sometimes the people who are sitting in those seats are asleep. Mm-hmm. So you don't really notice when somebody needs one.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, wow, what an experience. I love that you get to do this like once a year, right? Do you feel like once a year is kind of your, at least as long as your son is there?
Yeah. I'm always excited to go. And honestly, I'm always excited to come back, or to come home, rather, I should say. But then I think of places that I'd like to see the next time. And I feel really grateful that I get to do this more than once because my son is there.
I'm also grateful because I like to hear about it secondhand.
Well, I know you've been up to plenty while I've been gone. But before I ask you anything about that, we should take a break.
We got to take a break. We got to.
All right.
Bye.
Let's do it.
See you soon. True Tales from Old Houses is supported by Sutherland Wells. All of Sutherland Wells products are handcrafted in Providence, Rhode Island with the highest quality, sustainably grown tung oil. Tung oil, which is native to China, has been used for centuries as a durable finish for wood, metal, and stone.
Now, polyurethane, it's just plastic. But tung oil finish penetrates the surface of wood so it flexes and contracts as the conditions change, making it the perfect pre-finish or protectant for everything from fine furniture to window sash and sills.
I finally got around to cleaning off my front porch after the winter, and the 3 coats of exterior polymerized tung oil that I used in the fall have held up beautifully. I will give it another coat this year. But for whatever you're working on, whether that's siding, hardwood floors, furniture restoration, cutting boards, you name it, Sutherland Wells has a product for you.
To learn more about the complete product line, visit Sutherland Wells, that's WELLES, SutherlandWells.com. And to save 10% on your first order, use our coupon code TrueTales.
True Tales from Old Houses is also supported by Noonan Heritage Craftworks. You may know our friend Joseph Parenti from Instagram for his work with historic exteriors in the Pittsburgh area, but he is now extending his offerings to homeowners across the United States with Noonan Heritage Craftworks.
Finding the right help to restore and maintain your old house, it can be a real challenge. And sometimes you just don't even know where to start. What materials and methods should you use? Who can you trust? Joseph is here to help.
So schedule a phone call, video conference, or email consultation with Joseph to talk through your exterior project and help you game plan. Whether you just need to prepare a scope of work, want a second set of eyes to help compare estimates, or figure out the right questions to ask vendors, Joseph can provide unbiased guidance to help you steer clear of pitfalls and ensure success.
To learn how Noonan Heritage Craftworks can work with you, visit our special landing page at Noonan Craftworks, that's NOONAN, NoonanCraftworks.com/TrueTales. Welcome back, everyone.
Hello and welcome back.
All right, so I've been going on and on about Japan. What in the world have you been up to?
Well, I've done a bit of traveling myself, about 10 minutes away to my friend. So you may not believe this, but I actually have a second set of friends that are right about to have a baby.
Oh.
So the first baby came a month ago. Second baby's coming in a couple weeks.
So apparently September was a busy month for your friends.
I mean, I try not to think about it too
Yeah,
hard,
probably
but,
best for everyone. But go ahead. Anyway, your friend is having a baby.
My friend is having a baby. So very, very exciting. And I adore this friend. He has been working on this room on the back of his house for, I'm not even sure how long as I've known him, which is 5 years now. And now with the imminent birth, I'm like, I'm gonna help you out, buddy. Like, we're gonna get this done. So.
Did you send him to the grocery store and then redo the whole thing?
Not totally, but I have started to be like, why don't you just go work on the door for a little while and I'll just like build this closet.
All right. Well, tell me about the house. Tell me about the room.
Yeah, it's a cool little house. So in downtown Kingston, historically, that's where the brickyards were and we manufactured bricks. We were a big brick town. And so a lot of the houses in this area of downtown Kingston were probably built by the brickmakers back in like the mid 1800s. And so he lives in this really small little brick house. These houses also, because they were built so small to begin with, usually have been expanded upon a few times. So his house is like the original little brick house. Then there's another little brick addition that's the kitchen, but it retains like the original window opening.
Oh.
So there's these fun little pass-throughs
fun.
through the rooms. It's pretty cool. And then this room, I don't really know the story of it. I think it was maybe a like 20s addition that got a 70s very bad renovation or something.
Right.
Kind of hard to say, but it's basically, it might have been a porch at one time because it's long and very narrow. So about 5.5 feet wide, but like 16-ish feet long.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's long. So he's been working on this for a very long time.
So long.
Oh no.
And part of that is, and I have all the respect in the world for this, is sort of treating, the house and the room as sort of a test kitchen, learning experience, etc. So this room involved, he pulled up, I think he had like wood floors, like kind of built on grade. So he pulled all that up. Then he got the big idea. This is also somebody who, he doesn't have a ton of experience and he's really figuring things out as he goes. So not all the ideas are maybe like thing we would have chosen just based on practicality and such. So with the big floor ripped up and now we're going to pour a slab, right? So what do we do before the slab? We put in radiant floor heat.
You pulled a permit, right? Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
That's none of my business, not my job site. But, what do you do before you pour a slab? Well, obviously you put in radiant floor heat.
Sure.
And obviously you choose a hydronic system, which now requires a boiler
boy.
for this one little room.
Oh, no.
It's just, there's a lot of really funny decisions. And then I discovered, so I've met a few straight men like this who, in spite of kind of a lack of skills or knowledge or background or advanced projects on the horizon, are very fixated on finding like the best version of that tool that was ever made. Like, have you experienced this?
Yes, I would not necessarily say that I mean, I guess I can't correlate that to, or I can't associate that with straight men, because I actually know a lot of women who are like that too, who get like lost in the research phase. I don't even know if they ever really get the tool, but they'll have the whole information about every tool and every possibility. And yeah.
So anyway, this man, I adore him, but I have like no patience for old tools, like at all. I don't want to fix a tool. I don't want to tinker with a motor. I don't want to calibrate things. I just...
Tinker. I love that word.
No, thank you. He is different. So I discovered on like day 3 of furring out this 1 8-foot wall to try to achieve something resembling level and plumb that I think he owns exactly one level. It's a 2-foot, like old Stanley. It's all metal. It's really,
I have one of those,
etc. Yeah,
I got it from my dad.
It's great, except for when those little gaskets go, probably 25 years ago, and the thing is not remotely calibrated. So I think built a whole room based off a level. And of course, like, sometimes in an old, and we're putting up beadboard, and that might have been a questionable choice had I realized quite how out of whack stuff was, because then you're introducing a bunch of lines.
Yeah.
And sometimes in these situations, if you actually build to level, it will look bad and weird, and you just have to kind of eyeball and split the difference and whatever. In this case, we have like things going, angling in opposite directions. So if you choose to go out of level to match one, you're going to be crazy off on the other. So it really is making the most sense to just do level. But like, everything's a little good times.
Well, we've talked about this before, level and then old house level, 2 different things. Yes.
Right. But I'm going with level. And mostly it looks really great. But yeah, it's been kind of fun. And then, I like to insert myself and just be like, well, have you thought about like this? And then we end up doing that. And
so how much time do you actually have before this baby comes?
Well, if we believe the due date, we are 10 days.
Oh my gosh. All right. This baby's coming. Maybe by the time this episode is out, this baby will be here.
It's like very possible. I'm leaving town this weekend. So I'm like, it's possible this baby will come. And I'm leaving town to go to the other baby naming.
Oh, that's funny.
So, I mean, it's just babies.
I'm pretty sure you said this, but because I'm a little bit asleep today, I'm going to ask you again. This room that you're working on, what is it going to be when you're done?
Oh, that's also a matter of debate.
Oh, okay.
I think, so again, very, very small house. So they have a 1-bedroom upstairs, and then kind of like, someone can crash in the living room, etc. But they don't really have like a 2nd bedroom. So this will be a bedroom either for mom and dad or for baby.
Oh, okay.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
My money's on baby.
And it could change too. Spaces change depending on what you need.
Right. And they'll probably have the baby in the bedroom for the first 6 months or whatever. I don't know how babies work, but we're all learning.
And they may change their mind altogether. Well, so that's been keeping you busy.
About the baby?
Yeah. No, the remodel of the room.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
I'll allow it.
I guess that hasn't left you much time to be working on anything at your house or
no,
the
it's
duplex?
pretty bad.
Okay.
It's pretty bad. Here's what we have going on. Basically, I've been trying to a little bit get on top of the property, the gardens and the grounds, because it's
that time of year.
This year, we had I know weather is boring, but we had an incredibly long and cold spring.
Same.
And it just never stopped raining. So for instance, like I got a yard of mulch in the back of my truck. It's not like, that's a lot of mulch, but it's not that much mulch. honestly, in order to like fully mulch my whole land is probably like 30 to 40 yards.
Oh,
It's
wow.
a lot.
That's so much.
I know. I really need a new solution next year where that involves a crew who can do this in like a day and I can have my life.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
But I waited too long this year to actually like make any of that happen. So I'm sort of doing it myself. I probably won't do all of it because it's just too much. But anyway, it hit me like if I never make a decision about like trees along the fence line, then I will never have trees along the fence line. So maybe instead of like waiting for the most brilliant idea to hit me or somebody to just tell me what to do or whatever, maybe I can just go buy 6 arborvitaes and, you know, put them in the ground and like
see what happens.
Eventually have some screening. So I did that.
Oh, all right.
6 big arborvitaes, green giants.
That's great. Isn't there a saying something like, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago or 20 years ago or something like that.
Exactly. And I wish I had.
The next best time is today. I don't know how it goes.
Right now. Yeah. Something like that. It sounds right. And then I got 2 trees for the duplex because that house doesn't really, it has 1 tree left.
Yeah.
Which is so sad. It had like 5 when I bought that. I mean, granted, one of them was growing out of the foundation, but.
But it was still there. Yeah.
Loose trees. Yeah. So gonna plant some new maples over there.
Great.
And, just really trying, Stacy. It's hard.
Yeah.
The weeding is just out of control this year.
We had a lot of weeds. And I will say when Andy was home a few weeks ago, he did the weeding. And then we used a product. I hate to even admit this because I was just desperate though, but you've admitted to using some products too.
It's okay.
We used a product called Preen, Preen.
Yeah, I think Preen is not bad.
Okay. I've never used it before, but we used it and then we put down mulch. I say we. It was the royal we. He actually did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he put down all the mulch and then I had barely any weeds. I'm just shocked. I'm absolutely shocked.
People have recommended that stuff to me forever and I have just not.
Yeah.
And then this year I picked up a big thing of it. It's like this. It's not quite a powder. It's
almost like pellets.
I don't know. It's like a little tiny pellets. And actually the instructions read, because I got this wrong too, that you are supposed to apply it after you mulch and then lightly water it in.
Yeah. So we kind of did both. Andy, I don't know if he even read
more
the directions.
Is more.
So
he did.
Yeah, he probably
Boys.
didn't. So he put it on and watered it in. And then he put mulch. And then we had so much because one canister of it goes a really long way.
Yeah, I have tons.
Yeah. So he just put it down again and then watered it in again. I was like, all right, works for me. But I expected to come back from my trip and have to weed. I mean, I was already dreading it. And when I got home and saw that almost nothing was growing, I was so happy.
That's so nice.
Yay.
We love Preen. So I've been trying to like step it up this year a little bit because I'm tired of having bad grass. I'm tired. So I had ChatGPT write me a entire maintenance schedule for my lawns, my mulched beds and my pea gravel and like what to apply when and stuff. So I've actually been like doing some new things this year. I got it recommended this is not an endorsement. It's just what happened to me. A product called Scott's Triple Action Turf Builder, which I thought was seed. It's not. It's like a crabgrass pre-emergent and a fertilizer for the lawn and I don't know, some other stuff. And it really worked pretty nicely.
That's good.
So I'm happy about that. The Preen has been working pretty nicely, although I have yet to mulch almost anything.
Yeah.
But the one area I did, it's doing pretty good. I got a lot of vinegar this year just to kill weeds. I think I truly have sworn off the Roundup, which I should have done forever ago. I know I never should have touched the stuff to begin with, but I did, and I'm done.
Well, that's okay.
No more.
Good for you.
Yeah. So I live next to this like 4-family apartment house. It's the landlord's terrible. I feel more than comfortable putting that on record because I've told him that in person. Not actually in person. I've never met the guy in 12 years, but he's called me. Anyway, it's a long story, but I hate them. And they have about 1.5 feet of soil between my fence and the driveway. He had almost the entire thing paved. This was like a month after I pay a fortune to have all the asphalt removed from my yard. He then paves his entire yard. Yeah, super great. And so there's this little strip of land, and the tenants used to plant like tomato plants and things there. It was really kind of nice. And they have just been nuking it with Roundup every year
So nothing
for the
will
past
grow
several
now.
years. So nothing will grow now, but also, the fence doesn't actually stop the Roundup. So they have generously killed 2 privets, a lilac,
No.
everything kind of along that fence line is just sick. And then somehow it definitely appears to have drifted. And my beautiful little dogwood is so ill this year.
Oh, that's awful.
She produced no flowers. All the leaves are little crinkly, sad little things. I don't know if it's going to survive. And it's just really devastating because this is my second dogwood. The first one died.
That is so sad. Oh,
And the most beautiful dogwood I've ever planted is now RIP because that was at the front yard of the cottage. And you may remember that side's gone.
oh boy.
So
Yeah.
I'm really striking. I don't know. I'm struggling.
Yeah. I was going to say you're probably missing it a lot too because it's dogwood blooming season here.
I really am. It's sad.
It is sad.
There's so many different perspectives on gardening, and I will freely and openly admit that mine has been
Survival of the fittest.
making things pretty, survival of the fittest, kind of plants that feel very classic to me, boxwoods, hydrangeas, old money sorts of things. And
Old money
right?
for our
right?
for our no money lifestyles.
Right, exactly. A lot of cosplay happening. I have not focused much on either native, not being really diligent about non-invasive. I can't say I've done that. And I haven't made a lot of use of edibles as kind of ornamental, which I think is really lovely when people do that. So anyway, the tenant at the cottage has taken the opportunity to basically make a victory garden in the front yard. So it's all lettuce and
that's fun.
kale and garlic. And, it's ugly, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm glad it's being used and,
Right.
producing something.
Well, we're actually, I hate to cut you off, but we're running out of time. And we should have done this at the top of the show, but we're going to do it at the end of the show instead. I want to say this is our last minisode of the season, Daniel.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I don't know.
I didn't realize.
I thought you might have forgotten.
Good thing we're ending on a real bang. Me trashing my neighbors.
Well, I'll see what I can do about that in editing.
I think it's funny.
Yeah. I can't believe, though, it's the last minisode of the season. We have one more big episode next week of the season, and then we'll be on hiatus.
Which you will not want to miss.
No, definitely not want to miss.
I'm excited for that one.
But I wanted to ask you if do you have any follow-up or anything from previous episodes? I've been gone for so long. Did you get any emails about anything?
I did. I got a little bit. Somebody very kindly, I think a couple of people said that I handled the Scott Seidler and Stacy Grinspelder interview well, which made me feel good.
I thought you did a great job too. When I went back to listen to it, I thought, he asked such good questions. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I
doing
enjoyed
it.
the listen back because I was a little in the moment. So that was fun to hear. A couple people from when I was talking about organizing my friend's home, like a lunatic, heard from a few that it kind of made them think. Somebody was like, I realized I've had all these painting projects on my agenda, but my paint supplies are in 5 different places. So just the thing of trying to organize and, pull together what I need when I want to do it was a real barrier. So I took the time to kind of reorganize and get all the things in one place. And
Good.
now I feel equipped to paint.
Yeah.
Which was a lovely thing to hear. My mother likes to treat the podcast like we have just been talking about it personally.
You and she?
Even though it's, yes.
Oh, okay.
Even though it's a conversation you and I had 3 weeks before, So she just sent me a very simple Instagram message that said, glad to hear you're getting your skin cancer check and you should give Pink Ladies another try. Very related.
That was in reference, I guess, to the last minisode where you were following up on your Apple discovery. And then you were going to the dermatologist. That's hilarious.
It's funny because if I had to guess, I would totally be like, yeah, my mom's a Pink Lady gal because they're sort of tart and my mom really likes tart and I kind of don't. So I'll give Pink Ladies another try, but
yeah,
they're not going to be top of the list, Mom. I just don't see it happening.
And here we are back on apples, right?
Right. And was there other things?
I don't know. You've been the one who's been around. I've been
I know you've been
out of pocket for a while.
She also correctly noted that the real measure of an apple is how good of a delivery system it is for peanut butter.
Right.
And
yeah, it's just a vessel. Sometimes the apple's just the vessel. Well, I guess that's it for us today.
I think we've covered it.
Last minisode of season 12, and we will see everybody here next week for the last big episode of season 12, and we can't wait. We'll be announcing the book winners, by the way, that the giveaway for the book that Scott and I wrote has ended, and we will announce the winners next week, too. So we'll see you.
Amazing.
Thank you for listening to True Tales from Old Houses. Until next time.
See you next week.